Let's continue. Unit number 2, statistics. So as I told, there are two different parts are there in this unit, statistics and the probability, which form the basis for different data science, data analytics, and machine learning data mining algorithm. So it's given from that point of view. Basically, the syllabus is taken from one of the book which does not contain the depth of this particular subject, this particular topic here. But I have created a depth by using practical approach toward the concept which are mentioned there in the syllabus. So we'll get to know about different statistical concept, common concept, and probability based concept with the help of the Python programming language. So let's see that one, how or which statistical concepts are important, how they are used, and how they are applied in practically, basically. Okay, so maybe most of the time what happens, we are not much comfortable with mathematics, we hate mathematics. So remember that being in data science, you have to love mathematics, and you have to love statistics also because without that the algorithms of AI, machine learning, or big data analytics are actually not much used. That's why, though you don't have means you don't like it, basically why do we don't like? Because we don't see the practical application of it. We will see the practical application of it for statistics and probability also. So once you got that idea, then it will become easy for us to understand. So from programming point of view, from practical point of view also, this particular system is very important. So let's start with statistics. We'll go in detail about the concept of statistics, and then we'll see the different subtopics present under the statistics here. Now, these are my objectives. The 50% part of the unit number 2 is this: statistics, describing single set of data, correlation, Simpson paradox, some other correlation caveats, and correlation causation. This subject syllabus as it is taken from one of the book. I'll share that book also. Unit number 1's book I have shared on the WhatsApp group yesterday. Once this topic is over, this book also I'll share with you. It does not contain much useful content from the knowledge point of view, but let's go in detail to check this particular topic separately. Okay, important part is, what do you mean by statistics? Maybe if you're learned about it, or if you're not learned, so we'll go in detail and check the analysis, the importance of the subject statistics here. So statistics is a discipline that concerns the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data. Yes, again, from all angle, we are coming to central point, data. Okay, so in applying statistics to scientific, industrial, or social problem, it is conventional to begin with statistical model to be studied. The data that we have, the data can be seen from a various angle. Once we collected the data, we can see the pattern within that data with the help of the method which is statistics. We can analyze the data with the help of the method which contains statistics. Okay. Analysis methods are the interpretation of data can also be done with the help of statistics. Transformation of the data can also be done with the help of statistics. Okay, so whether it is scientific application, industrial, or social problem, we can apply the methods very commonly into it. Population can be a diverse group of people. So it's just mentioned statistical population. What do you mean population? Population is very important. It's a group of people, they are having same kind of mind, generally we call as a population. The general idea is there, and that same idea is used in statistics also. Diverse group of people, objects such as all people living in a country, that is what we call as population. Means all they belong in the same area, same country, same nation, or even every atom composing a crystal is a population. All they are the part of the same atom. Okay, that is population. So statistics basically focusing on analysis of this population. Remember, so it deals with every aspect of the data, including planning of data collection in terms of design of surveys and the experiments. Survey is like we are going to have a survey, might be knowing. Survey and their analysis can be statistically modeled with the help of some experiments. So statistical models are present that we can try to analyze the data effectively. So if you have to build a model of data, necessary to learn statistical properties of it plus statistical modeling of it also. Now, when let's say when a census data cannot be collected Statistician collect the data by developing specific experiment design and survey samples. How? Means you might be knowing many surveys are shown on the news channels. They have not come to your door. Still, you can see the survey. So you might be wondered that how the surveys are taken. No one has taken your survey. Then how the series are there? Statistical methods are there by which you decide what sort of data or what sort of people required to be considered while creating this kind of the surveys. Statistical methods are present there. Representative sampling is used there, which assures that inferences and conclusion can be reasonably extended from sample to the population as a whole. This is what survey is. Sample and population. See, population is 100 crore. Sample can be 1 lakh. So using 1 lakh sample, we can check the mentality of 100 crore. Inferences, conclusions can be reasonably identified by this method. An experimental study involves taking measurement of system under study, manipulating the system, and then taking additional measurement using the same procedure to determine if the manipulation has manipulated modified values on the measurements. Technically complicated, but practically easy actually, which is shown measurement and their combinations with the procedures can be done with the help of the statistical method. In contrast, observation study does not involve experimental manipulation. Yes. Now, there are two different type of statistics present in general. First is called a descriptive statistics. Okay. In the count noun sense, is a summary statistic that quantitatively describes or summarizes the feature of collection of information. Summary. Let's say I want to find average of 10 ages. Summary. Correct. What's the minimum and maximum value that it is having? Summary. Okay, while descriptive statistics is the mass noun sense is process of analyzing those statistics. Second method is also there. It's called as inferential or inductive statistics. In that, okay, so in descriptive statistics aim to summarize the sample rather than the data is to learn about population that the sample of data is taken to represent. Descriptive statistics, and then we'll go for the second method, inferential, inductive statistics. Statistical inference is the process of using data analysis to reduce properties of underlying probability distribution. Inferential statistics infers properties of a population, for example, by testing hypothesis and deriving the estimates. Hypothesis means theory. Means I want this model is present inside. This is my hypothesis. Maybe it's possible. If it is input is that, output can be like, and input out relation is can be like this. Formula model that I have derived supposed to have that in it. It's called as hypothesis. Remember. So deriving estimates means by hypothesis built, then we can do the prediction based on that. So it is assumed that observed data set is sampled from large population. Inferential statistics can be contrasted with descriptive statistics. So descriptive statistics is solely concerned with properties of observed data, and it does not rest on the assumption that data come from the large population. See the difference between them. See. Descriptive statistics is focuses on the whole. Describe, organize, and summarize information about the entire population. 90% is focused and 90% will be like that. Okay. And inferential used to generalize about the population based on the sample of the data. Like out of 90%, we keep 3. Okay, what 3's mentalities is there? There I will transform into 90's mentality. See, some academician will do that. Like the paper is of 40 marks and we get marks 33 out of 40. And if 33 is out of 40, then what is out of 100? Correct. That we transform. Okay, with 33 out of 40, then what is about 100? Like that. That's why we generalize to that particular idea. It's called as inferential statistics. Like 90% satisfaction of sample of 50 customers, 90% satisfaction of all the customers. Remember, this is what we call it. So means sample of data is taken and based on that we perform statistical operations on it. This we term as inferential statistics. So descriptive and inferential, two different ways by which the statistics are formulated here. Why statistics? Very important. It's not part of syllabus, but remember, if you stick to the syllabus, you will not get many things. That's why I added this. Why statistics? And why data science is required in statistics? That also will clear, but not theoretically. We'll see the things practically. What features are the most important? Yes. See, I'm having a data set of my car, okay, car data set, and in my car, it contains mileage of the car, then properties of car like weight of the car, horsepower of the car, number of gears, automatic or manual, like all. And which features decide the mileage of the car that I have to identify. So I require statistical methods there. Correlation technique that I require. We'll see that correlation technique today. With the help of that technique, we can identify that how much correlation that they have, which features are important. Remember, feature and label, two concepts are there. You will come across this particular point for multiple number of times. Feature means input data. Label means output data. When input was this, then output was this. Okay. When feature were this, then labels are this. Like. So which feature are important so that a perfect data modeling can be done, that we can find with the help of statistics. How should we design the experiment to develop our product strategy? What experiment should be present? So with that experiment, we can decide what strategies to apply. Let's say we have sold your product for some n number of time yesterday. So what is the possibility that this product will be sold with the same amount tomorrow also, day after tomorrow also, next year also? Statistics will show you. Say third, why performance metrics should we measure? Yes, data model we have created, but that model is performing well or not. How do we measure it? The measurement of performance, effectiveness and efficiency of algorithm can be done with the help of statistics. What the most common and expected outcome? Yes, most common expected outcome. Model is created, but which can be the most common outcome we can have? Outcome is output. Response that we can have, that we can find with the help of statistics. So this is the fourth step which I mentioned. It's a part of data mining and machine learning that we can use. So different kind of machine learning algorithm are basically focusing on most common expected outcome. How do we differentiate between noise and valid data? Yes, outlier we call noise and out data. So this data is noise, this is outlier, and this data is useful, valid data is there. How statistics will help you? So these are the top 5 reasons why we require statistics in the data science. So remember, so to go in detail about data science, we have to love statistics. Now from data to knowledge. So in isolation, raw observations are just data. There is a triangle, I think if I explain that, not triangle, sorry, pyramid we call it. It's a pyramid. Okay. At the base, we have seen, I think, data analytics, data science topic. At the base, we have the raw data. From raw data, we extract the information. From information, we extract the knowledge. We convert it into knowledge. From knowledge, we got the wisdom. So 4 steps are there. Very highly important to the data. So raw observations are just data. So we use descriptive statistics to transform this observation into insight that we make a sense. Insight, useful, novel insight. What exactly novelty is present in that? What novelness it has in it, we can find by the statistical methods. So that's what we have: data to information, information to knowledge, knowledge to wisdom. Then we can use inferential statistics to study small sample of data and extrapolate our finding in that entire population. Yes, that is inferential. So we have descriptive statistics, to find the novel insights in it. And second is pattern will be found. And second, inferential statistics will have sample of data and extrapolate it, make it big. Our finding to the entire population. So how entire population will behave, that will find with the help of inferential statistics. Yes, remember. Now, what are the terminologies? 6, 7 terminologies are there which are used in the statistics that we need to know, we need to remember while using the terminologies for multiple number of times. Population, we talk about it. Okay, what do you mean by population? So entire pool of data from where statistical sample is extracted, population, complete data. It can be visualized as a complete set data set of items that are similar in nature. Population, like all of the nationalities is Indian, so it's a population. Second, sample. It's a subset of population that is an integral part of population that has been collected for analysis. It has been collected for analysis, and this is called as the sample. Third is variable, a value whose characteristics such as quantity can be measured and can also be addressed as a data point or a data item. That's simple variable. Distribution, this is very necessary. If probability will focus on that, what do you mean by distribution? The sample data that is spread over a specific range of values. It's called a distribution. Maybe many different methods are there, many ways are there by which the distribution of the data can be found. Generally, we use normal distribution, general idea of distribution there. Distribution, sample data that is spread over a specific range of values. Parameter, it's a value that is used to describe attributes of complete data set, which is population. For example, average, percentage, median, quantile. These are the parameters that describe the attribute of complete data. Attribute of complete data. Okay. Next is quantitative analysis. Two analyses are which we use: quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative analysis, it deals with the specific characteristics of data, like some part of the data, such as mean of data, variance of data, standard deviation of the data, population variance of the data. Many are there, which are quantitative, based on the values you extracted. This is called as quantitative analysis. And the last one is qualitative analysis. Qualitative analysis, like it gives in percentage format. How many values are non-missing? Yesterday we have seen that. Same. How many values are missing? How many are non-missing? So what is the quality of data? Quality of data. So it deals with generic information about type of data, how clean the data structure is. This is what does qualitative analysis. The quality is checked, and based on that, we got the analysis in the percentage format. So these are the common terminology that we need to remember from the statistical point of view. Okay, now just combine. Let's do statistical machine learning. What do you mean by statistical machine learning? Almost all the technique which we use in machine learning, they are using the statistics. The method using statistics are most important to train and test the data that is used as input to the machine learning algorithm. Sorry, it was interrupted. Let's start it again. Yeah. Okay, so all these things are done in statistical machine learning. Remember, anomaly detection, something which are don't follow the properties of crowd. Sampling means all samples are not equal. Sampling, resampling is required. Scaling, when you have to scale down or scale up the range. Encoding, converting string value into number format, and dealing with missing values, which is the values which are not present in the data set, then what to do that are present in the missing value scale. Statistics also essential to evaluate the model that has been used. See, that is how well machine learning algorithm performs on test data set or on the data that is never seen before. Okay, many methods are there. If you come about the classification algorithms are evaluated with the help of confusion matrix, with the help of precision, recall, specificity, sensitivity, F1 score. Many methods are there. Even probability based algorithm are evaluated by using AUC ROC curve, also probability generation, like all, and regression kind of algorithm where output generated is continuous, that can be evaluated with the help of the R2 score, mean absolute error, mean squared error, root mean squared error, like all that are used to evaluate it, and they are also very statistics from machine learning point of view. Statistics is essential in selecting the final and appropriate model to deal with a specific data in predictive modeling situation. Yes, predictive modeling situation. When your model is created and you have to do the predictions on that, that time statistics plays very essential important role to perform operations with. Okay, it's also needed to show how well model was as part. Okay, that's common idea. Same thing is that about topic number 2 that we have learned now. Of data, we are going to see the things practically. What do you mean by single set of data? Single set descriptive talking about. Remember, and on descriptive statistics we can work different kind of operation. Let's go to check it. Describing a single set of data. So basically, look at it. How to describe the single set of data. Yeah. So function that we can create, and with the help of that, descriptive statistics is possible on single set of data. It's possible to work with that particular data. Multiple data structure that we use in Python, they are also beneficial to understand this particular concept. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. I'll just check for a data set first, and then we'll go for using it. Okay, now check this. Okay, let's see this. Before actually performing any operation, we just have to know about some data structures which we require. So descriptive statistics basically focusing on the single set of data. So for single set of data, what different operations are possible, we'll talk about. See, in Python, we can have different kind of data structures here. Commonly use four data structures present, and that four data structures are like list, tuple, set, and dictionary. Okay, what do you mean by list? If I write something like this, okay, this is what we call as a list. If I check the type of X, list. So modifiable elements, and important part is that you can have the element which is of dissimilar categories like this. Its data type will not change. 4, 5, 6, 0.6, and then 9. Such kind of values are given. So it's a mixture of number and floating point values are there. Okay. Now it's modifiable. Means content can be modifiable, but if you write in the round packet, it is non-modifiable. It is called as a tuple. Okay, tuple, whose content we can't modify, but we can use it as array also, and dissimilar data elements are allowed inside it. And if you use it like in curly braces, it is called as set. Set element, one element will be kept one number of time. Unique elements are the distinct elements are stored inside it, and that is called as a set. And if we use something like this, okay, in this way, okay, maybe if you have learned about it, this is called as the dictionary. So list, tuple, set, and dictionary, four data types are there, but none of the data type is having a property like array. Property like array. Array means collection of similar data elements stored into contiguous memory location. Contiguous means connected to each other. That is called a contiguous memory location. Fine. So in data science or in statistics, basically we must have insurance that the collection data structure should have same kind of the data within it. It must have same kind of the data. So array is not present. So to use the array, we have to make use of a package called as NumPy, which is very commonly used package in Python. With the help of that, we can create the arrays. See, I can make use of the array now. Let's see, import NumPy as NP. So NP is imported. Now I want to create the array. So how they are created? Let's see, X is equal to, for example, if I write in this way, and we are going to print this X on the screen. So it's just like this. It's a list element. List. Dissimilar elements are also allowed inside it. We can have, see, possible this way. Correct. But if I want this to be in array format, I want insurance that all elements present inside this array are of same type. So how will you do this? See, I'll write array concept. So in most of data science, it's required to know about this. See, the array is created. How do we know it's array? So let's see, I'll make a small change here, 6.8. And when I run this, all other element will go into floating point number. It means that everyone's data type is converted from integer to float finally. If I make one of them as string, let's say H is there. Now see, everyone is converted into the string format, but it's having the property of array. All elements are of same type. So this way the arrays are created, and NumPy is the package in which we can perform different array operations. Even we are having a SciPy function, SciPy package, where scientific Python which is used, and all scientific functions we can apply onto it. Even we are having one more package called as the statistics, which is statistical functions can be applied. Lot many are there. I will show few of them. Maybe to cover all statistics will be a tedious task. So we'll see the common single variable statistics, multi-variable statistics also. Okay, even correlation technique and many more techniques which are presented, they're not practically seen. Practical things are like single set of data and correlation that we will see step by step. Okay, so this is how the arrays are created. So most of the time in data science, in upcoming subjects also, when you're going to learn new subject data science, so make sure that you're doing practical in Python and their arrays are used, not list, tuple, set, or dictionary. Because array ensures that data which is present inside it is of same type, or elements are of same type. Okay, that's all. So it's a string array now created. Now I can perform any kind of operations onto it. This array I can write any kind of operations, like so you can check np dot and a set of all the functions we can see that I can apply. Numerical functions are there. See how many are there? Not many functions that we can apply. All these functions we can apply onto the array concept. Not is that set of functions are present that we can perform operations with the arrays basically. Okay, so this is what the numpy is, and using numpy I can create the arrays, and then I can use this array to perform statistical operations onto it. Now what are the single array operations, single data operations are there? Descriptive statistics that we call. Descriptive means single element is there and we summarize the things. What are the ways to summarize it? We can an algorithm to do it, or we can use an inbuilt function library also to do it. How? See, for example, I am having a set of friends, the number of friends I just mentioned over here. Okay. The number of friends like this. And I want to do the analysis of them by graphical format. Yesterday we have seen that same graphical format representation we can do with the help of a concept of bar chart or the concept of histogram also. Okay, concept of bar chart or concept of the histogram also. So how to do this one? There are some function method that we need to apply and use it here. Okay, let me show you that. See. Python programming language contains one collection library. Collections. Collection library contains several classes inside it. That classes are created to perform a specific operation. Like for example, in a data structure, the elements are present. What's a count? With how many number of times that element is present inside it, that we can find with the help of the function count. Like for example, see, I'm having a number of friends I mentioned over here. Let's say these numbers I'll reduce a bit so it will be easy to understand. See, like that I'm having a set of elements with me. Okay, and by using the collections I'm creating this counter class. Okay, counter class I have imported, and then I'm using this counter class object here by passing this number of friends as input there, and friends count I got. Now I will print this friends count here. See, counter how it is done. 5 present one number of time, 6 present 5 number of time. So this is the value and this is the counter. So counting the element is present for how many number of time, that we can do with this particular class, counter class. So check it. 5 3 times, sorry, 6 5 times, 3 5 times, 2 1 time, 7 2 times, 8 1 time, 56 1 time, and 4 4 times present inside it. Like in this way we can identify it. And now I want to show this in statistical format. Like I want to show that in the format of the graph. So we are making use of the histogram concept. So let's have histogram plt.hist. See this. So from 0 to 5, I think 0 to 5 something or more than that. You can assign the labels also to it. That's also possible to apply. Almost 17.5 elements are there. 17.5 or 18 elements are there. Then next will 10, only one element is there. And one element is there on 56. Complete distribution. Now basically distribution of the data can be seen by this method. So this will show you the summary, graphical summary of data. So I'm having a single set, a single collection of data. Then I can make use of a count. The element is present for how many number of times that we can see. Even we can perform operation. We can perform the operation of the data distribution. So how data distributed? Maximum number of data distributed from 0 to 9, 0 to 8 something, and very less amount of data is present here around 10. Okay, around 10 or after 56 is there that we can find. And yesterday we have seen this method to delete the outliers. Outlier deletion detection can be possible. See, I'll show you. I want to make it clear. I want to make this data clear so I can make use of a common method in programming to apply your logic. You can see that one element is there whose value you can just observe. Values, exact value can't be seen because you can't see that this value is 56. But if I want to remove this one, I want to make data clear. Okay, clear, single set of data clear. So what operation we can do? So you just can check till this data is present. I can make sure that data which is above 20 that we can discard. The data which is above 20 that we can discard. So here some functionality that we can apply. Let's check it. For example, new data is equal to, let's apply a filter. Okay, filter we can apply. So if you are knowing Python programming language, so there's a function called as lambda function. Lambda is an anonymous function which will contain one parameter to it and then generate a result based on that. And there's a function called as filter. Filter will take two arguments. The first argument is a lambda function, lambda of x. Now I want all the data which is less than 20. So x is less than 20. From where you have to take it? From number of friends. And now let's see this new data. Sorry, list of new data. Now see, the data is cleaned. The data is now cleaned. The element which are below 20, only that I have extracted. So this is the method that we can clean your data from the outliers. Outlier deletion can be seen. We can just observe the data first and then you decide your criteria. Above that, I need to delete. I need to filter only the data which is below a specific threshold value that we have extracted, and that's new data is generated here. This is one of the operations that we can do on single set of data. Many more operations are there that's we can find. So this, now I got a list of all the elements. List of all the elements, and they will be something like that. Now if I plot the thing again, let's see. If I plot the things again, same data, but instead of number of friends, I will apply the new data here. And after that, if you see the distribution, that's what's the problem? Filter has no length. Yes, it's list. Sorry, list of new data. Yeah, something is missing. Wait a minute. Let's use x here. We'll get x and have x, because the data which is generated is not actually converted into original format. So I must be having the data in this specific format only, then only it is possible to have it. Just a minute. Data format is changing over here. That's why we are not getting the correct result. Yes, this one. Apply the filter. Yeah, it's created. Now it will work. See, now we can observe the data distribution is correct. So most of the time, this is a statistical method that we can apply on a single set of data, detecting something which is another operation that we can do. Let's see how many number of element that we have. Count is very important. With the help of the count, total number of element we can find. So length is the function that we can apply. So second operation that we can apply on single set of data is the count. How many number of element we have. So here, if I got the number of points, check the number of points, 20 elements are there. Total number of element which are present. Count. As yesterday we have seen non-null values which are present, they are called as count, and that we can see over here. Even it's possible that your data will have some value which are null, not a number. Yesterday, again, we have seen the missing values. That missing value can be a constant also. See, for example, if I want to create a list, see, sorry, see, let's say A is equal to some numbers I'll put. So one A I have created here. See this one, a list I have created. And if I print this list, you can see this nan value. I can have this constant np.nan. In NumPy, nan constant is already present, not a number. If I want some nan values to be stored in a list or array, I can use this method. See, a np.nan. Fine. And then after we can check how many elements are present in A, len of A. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is the 8th element. But it's a missing value, it can be present there. But generally we remove that, as we have seen the method to remove the value which are nan values. So this method may be applicable in such cases. But it may be possible that the nan values or the missing values are present inside the particular list or particular set of elements there. Now the next function, this is what len function is there, count. The next function that we can apply on single set of data is the range. Range. What range you have? I mean, what is the minimum value? What is the maximum value that we can carry? Minimum value and maximum value. Okay, so that will identify the range. But basically in Python we have a range function, and with the help of the range function, we can generate a set of data. Basically in R we can have a range function to identify. For example, let's say X I am having here. This is R terminal I have created, and there we can create a set of data by such methods. Okay, like this. So we can have X. Okay, if I want to find how many elements are there, so there's a function length in R that we can use to find. And in Python, we have function len, total number of elements that I want to find. But if I want to find a range, like minimum and maximum number, so single set of data can be applied with the help of the range functions also. So here we have the largest value. Using the max function, we can calculate it. Maximum number, maximum value present inside it, and what's the minimum value present there, that we can find what are the range. So on again a single set of data, the method, common method, this is mathematical method, statistical also, mathematical common method we can apply to find which is the maximum number present in it, and even which is the minimum number. So here in this method, max function is used to find the maximum number from that. So it's not required to write the algorithm. Maybe if you have learned about various algorithm present in data structure to find the minimum, maximum, or to sort the elements, these techniques are beneficial to understand the data. So when single set of data is concerned, then we are using this descriptive statistics method to know about it. Out of it, one method is min and max, minimum, maximum. But if you go to check in R contains range function directly. So range function will show you minimum and maximum value from that. See, range, but Python also contains range function, but range function meaning is different. It is used to create an array from some n number to some m number of elements there. And this is how the range is used. So I'll write it range here. Okay, range, another single set of data operation there. Now next, we need to sort the elements. Okay, so most of the time in some statistical operation, the data is required to get sorted. It should be sorted, and many more time data is not actually required to be sorted. So to sort the values, we are having a function called as sort. Another function, another method that we can apply on single set of data is the sort. So sorted is the function that I can apply, and there is one more method also. It's called a sort, that also we can apply. Check it out. I can just make use of a function like sorted. Number of friends, that's what my parameter is having. The same name I'm taken from the book when the syllabus is taken. Number of friends. Okay. Sorted. Sorted is a Python function which is used to sort the elements. So all sorted elements will present sorted values. Okay. Now from that you can find zeroth value smallest and highest value will be at location, second smallest value is last number. Now second smallest value will be present at one position, and there is a method in Python that we can use negative indexing also. The last element we can find by using the negative one, minus one. Minus 2 means second last, minus the third from the last, like that we can take. So this statistical method, yes, they are not actually mathematical method, not statistical. See, sorted values, sorry, see, all values are sorted. Then smallest value 2, then second smallest value 3. So it is 2 and then 3 that we have here in it. So these methods we can apply. If you are going to check the same in R, sorted is not there, sort is present. Sort X. And even it contains some parameters. So if I want to sort it descending order, maybe decreasing called true. Okay, in R, and same case we can apply on in Python also. Here we have, oh, what's that? Incrementing or decrementing something. Yeah, reverse. Sorry, reverse is here. Reverse is true. Programming languages are actually confusing. See this one. Reverse. This is largest value and this is second largest value that we can find. So this way, again a function to sort data. Data which are using statistics. So we are using single set of data. We can use this method to sort the data which is present in a single mean of all. See, mean, median, average. Okay. Average and mean are same actually, so don't worry about it. The different method is there. Mean of the data. It's very essential to know the mean and median of the data. So maybe you're not knowing the concept of median here. We'll talk about a few more concepts which are used in the statistics. Now, mean is range divided by length. So how it is calculated? See, check number of friends is 140. Number of friends 4.3. This is called as the mean average. So one example we have seen yesterday, to replace the missing value by mean of this one function, which is one set of data to replace the missing values. So missing values are can be replaced by the mean of it. Now second concept called as median, mean and then median. Okay, so what to choose? Whether you have to choose mean or median, that's very essential to know what operation to do. So they are having a huge difference here. Actually, they don't carry any difference if you are having the data equally distributed. If the data is equally distributed, then we will not have any difference in all. What is the median? That I will step by step. So let's see, mean and average are common. Then go to the quantile of that. We have done a single set of data. Mean is okay. So for example, I am having here y. Median of y 4.0. How this median is actually calculated? See, I'll write in comment here. If I sort these values 1, 2, 3, 4, then we have 6, 8 and 9. Which number is present at the center? Which number is present at the center? Which is that 4. Correct? After sorting. After sorting, which number is present at the center? 4. So 4 is the median. Now, what if The numbers are, there is no single number present. So length is odd. That's why exact one number is there. I'll add one more here, 5. And now see this. 4.5. How? See, 5 will be present over here. So now two numbers are there at the center, median. It's an average of them. 4 plus 5 divided by 2. That is called as median. 4 plus 5 divided by 2. If two numbers are at the center, if the length is even, that time it will occur. But if length is odd, then there is no issue finding median there. So median will be identified by this particular method here. We sort that data. After that, central element will be taken in consideration. Central element taken in consideration. And after that, we will find a median. So now for our case, above, for the above case where we have the number of friends here, how this median for this, and mean is 7.3 because there is an outlier present in it. See, this is the outlier present. That's why it is there. So if you check this center, total number of element are 20, number of element are 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so these two numbers are at the center, correct? So 4 plus 5 divided by 2, 4.5. This we have 4 plus 5 divided by 2. That is the median of that values also. So when the distribution of the data is exact, correct, means perfect, sequentially same difference is there, then mean and median can be same. Mean and median can be same. But if it is non-distributed, then there will be a huge difference. So it's a measure of difference also. How to find it? If we have large difference between mean and median, it means that the distribution of data is too much random and outliers are present in it. Outliers are present in it. Okay, if I remove that 56, you just check the result. See, we got the average at 7.3 and median is 4.5. That. If I remove this 56 and I use the we got the x value. Check this. I apply the x value. Now 4.73 mean and median is 4.0. They are come close. So distribution is normal that we can find. Data is equally distributed. No outliers are there. That is what the difference of mean and median is showing actually to us. That's what we have to understand. That's why these methods of single set of data are important to know. Okay, remember that. We'll talk about more detail. Median is again will require one more number of that. One. See, here I'm using number of friends and I'm using the quantile for 0.50. What is quantile actually? Quantile is also very important topic. So what we have, median is also 4.5 and quantile is also 4.5. I'm not having a diagram for that. And we'll see what do you mean by quantile. Quantile is also very essential to know. One of the important property that will quantile. So what is quantile and how these quantiles are? There are 3 quantiles that we can find here. Let's see. So check this diagram. Here, this diagram. This is the data distribution over here. Now, when you sort the data, when you sort data, 3 quantiles created. Q1 is we have from 0% to 25%. That is first quantile we call. 25%, 50%, 50% to 75% is the third quantile. Remember, 100% finally, third quantile that we call. So first quantile is here, second quantile here, third quantile is here. Q1, Q2, and Q3. So distribution of the updates of quantile is taken. Use this as it is, or I will use, yeah, this y as it is. This is your, and will apply on this data. First 25% quantile, 25%, 2.7. See, of it. So here 4 elements are there, and here 4 elements are there. 4 element here, 4 element here. Now in this 4 element, these two are at the center. Okay. These two are at the center. Okay. And in these two here, this 6 and 8 are present. These 2 points are present at the center. Fine. So for 2 and 3, the median that is calculated is 2.75 for first half is considered, and its median is calculated here. And second, we go to check this 25%. So 4, 6, 4, 6, and 8, 9. These values are considered here, and their median is calculated, that is 6.5. Execute this. Quantile values. This is what's shown here in this diagram. 3 medians are there. 25% median is a median of first half. Okay. 50% central median of whole. And third median, that is third quantile, is median of 50%, 100%. Central 25%. Okay. That is the third median. So Q1, Q2, and Q3. 3 quantile. 1 year 50%, 0.5, it will be exactly as median. Okay, median and second quantile, when 50% quantiles are same, remember, that's what we are going to make use of. So first quantile is value from 0 after sorting. This is done after sorting, 0 to 50% first quantile. Okay, and exact center of whole data is second quantile, 50% to 100% is third quantile. We can generally are taken 25%, 50%, 75% at the center. When 50% at the center, when 25% at the center, then 75% at the center, then what values are present? That is presented. But if you want to change it, I want 20% quantile, 2.4. Okay, I want quantile. So this also shows the data distribution. 5.2 is there. This also shows the perfect data distribution present in that particular data. After sorting, this quantile concept is taken. Let's see, if I'm going to make use of a method, there's a method called a describe. Describe method which used to check whatever properties we have seen till at a single instance for single set of data. See how to do this one. I'll put as PD. Okay, then PD dot data frame.
Sir, your screen.
Sir,
Data frame
yes.
for discontent. That's not visible. Just a minute, it's not visible. Yeah. Okay. Now check this. Yeah. There's a method called as describe, which is present in pandas. Actually, it's not applicable to the NumPy or the statistics anywhere. Pandas will contain this method called describe. So I'm converting y into data frame for describe method to it. Describe. Okay. See this element we can see at a time. This is what describe is done. You can check. I'm converting data frame pd dot data frame dot describe contain its complete detailing will be shown by it. All single set of data minimum value, second quantile, third quantile, and maximum values series by this method. So this describe function will show you this all single set of data function at a time. So every time to check whether missing value is present there or not. Mean is to replace the missing values or check the data distribution. Standard deviation, we'll see what's the meaning of it. Minimum value to check lowest value. 25, 50, 75 to check equal data distribution is present there or not. Equally present, then only we'll proceed further. Normal data distributions or mean data distributions are in probability consider. We'll talk about that, how exactly that we apply on single set of data. Now let's go to the another concept called as the dispersion. Yeah, dispersion. Few topics dispersion contains. Dispersion refers to measure of how spread out our data is. That's called a dispersion. So from statistical point of view, so we will decide which kind of machine learning algorithm will be good for that case. Okay, so typically there are statistics for which value near zero spread out at all, and for which the large values signify very spread out. Let's see the thing practically. Okay, so first dispersion method is variance, and second dispersion method is called as the variance. What is variance? So in statistics, the variance is a measure of individual numeric values data set are from the mean or average values. Okay, center and mean, how the distance variance is present. Okay, variance, the distance of, so the mean, the variance spread or dispersion. Spread is characteristics of a sample or how much variability present in it, how much variability is there in it. That will identify the concept variance. So high variance tells us that values in data their mean. Yes. So our data will have high level of variability. Okay. On the other hand, low variance tells us that the value are quite close to the mean. Quite close to the mean. In this case, our data will have variability. Check out the function which is used for that. We will implement that function in Python. We'll see how variance is calculated. In data set, we first need to find difference between each individual value and mean. Each individual value and mean. The variance is the average of squares of those differences. So every individual value here minus mean, their square. Okay, their square is calculated. Their addition is done, and then mean is calculated into 1 divided by n. We know this, so the variance is calculated here. From I to n minus 1, I0, and exact same elements are there. For every individual element, total. This is the formula to find the variance. So this equation xi stands for individual values or observations in data set. Mu stands for mean or average values. Any question from the mean. Why square is done? Important question. Square is done because if the value we got is negative, maybe every time it may be negative because mean can be higher or the value can be higher. Not every time negative. Value can be above mean, some value can be below mean. Okay, And if you're making a square of it, so obviously if negative value, the square is positive, positive value square is also positive. Yes. So obviously we'll get the variance in positive fashion only. So mu is the mean or average of those values. So this is called a deviation from the mean. So variance is the mean of square deviation. That's why we denoted it as delta square. Okay, not, yeah, square. This will be making use of it. Square is denoted there. So variance is denoted by the square. Okay, how it is calculated? Some example I just mentioned. Check it out. Let's say we have a data set 5, 3, 5, 2, 7, 1, 3. So to find the variance, we need to calculate the mean of it, like 3 plus 5 plus 2 plus 7 plus 1 plus 3 divided by 6, 3.5 variance, mean. Then we need to calculate the sum of square of deviation from mean of all the observations. See, 3.5 square, 3 minus, then 5 minus 3.5 square, 2 minus 3.5 square. Now for this case, we will get negative value, here positive value, here negative value, positive value, negative value, negative value. There is some problem with my network today. Just a minute, I'll share it again. Yeah, this way. Putting all the values in formula, I got the number 23.5. It's called as variance and value deviation, and deviation divided by total number of filaments. Again, average, its variance is 3.91. So this is how the variance inside the data is calculated. Remember. So if you have large value of variance, so values are far away from the mean. Small value of variance means mean of it. That is what variance is calculated. So dispersion of data will be calculated by this. That's all. Variance is difficult to understand and interpret, particularly how strange these units are. For example, the observation in our data set are measured in pounds. Then the variance will be measured in square pounds. Remember, square pounds. So that is measured by the unit which is used in that data set basically. So we can say that observations are on average 3.91 square pounds away from mean 3.5. Okay, so the standard deviation come to fix this problem. Variance is commonly used. Let's see how variance is calculated. Yeah. Here the variance formula applied. See this. I created a function. Basically, variance is a function present already in statistics package also. But from scratch, if you want to do total number of element n, I got the mean, sum of data divided by n. Then deviations. Okay, deviations means x minus. This is what list comprehension I have done here. Okay, for every element in x, I taken in from data I'm taken in x, and from that x minus mean square, and the deviation is calculated. Sum of all deviation divided by total number of element is the variance. Take it out. So variance for this data which I mentioned is 5.76. From scratch we can create. So if you want to devise your own function, I can write in this way. Function, define a function. So this is a function created for the calculating a variance. Remember the formula. When I'll share presentations with you, you just can download and do the things again by you, and I'll share the program also with you. Now I want to calculate the variance by using a function. So there is a package in Python called as statistics. With the help of statistics function, I can have a function inside it. Like, see, I'm importing statistics as st, and inside that there is a function called as p variance. P means population variance. This is the population. Okay, so population variance I can calculate by using st. St is a package name which I just imported, and here p variance function will take all that data. So I'm applied that same way, but only one extra number is that's very negligible. Okay, it will calculate it. So 5.76 is the population variance for the given data. Now, if you change that, for example, if I change these numbers, now see, it's changed completely. Too much variance is present there. Or if I make it more closer, now it's correct. Okay. So you can check how when I change these values, accordingly my variance will change. So I'll just put a 6 number in front of it. See, now see the variance. Having variance? No. 5.76, same variance is there for all of these elements which are present. If I change this sequence again, for example, 164, 168, 166, 165, 163, 162, 168, 169, 162, 165. Changing? No. It means that variance is important. Whatever value you have thousands of value, but deviation from the mean, deviation from the mean is not changing there. That is what population variance is. So distribution of data can be identified with the above concept of variance also. Okay, remember. Then deviation, standard deviation. You may be knowing it already. Standard deviation, but we'll talk about it. Standard deviation means the measure of amount of variation or dispersion in the set of numerical values. Same, but the concept is different words. Standard deviation is the square root of variance, and denoted as the sigma. So if we want to calculate the standard deviation, then all we just to do to take the square root of variance like this. Again, we need to distinguish between the population standard deviation, which is square root of the population variance, p variance that we call, and the sample standard deviation, which is the square root of sample variance called as square root of s2. We will denote like s is equal to square root of s2. The square root symbol is there, remember. Low values of standard deviation tells us that individual values are closer than mean. Individual values are closer than mean, remember. And high values on other hand will tell us individual observations are far away from the mean. Yes, far away from the mean. Values that are within one standard deviation of the mean can be thought of as fairly typical, whereas the values that are 3 or more standard deviations away from the mean can be considered as much atypical, and they are called as outliers. Standard deviation. Yes, see the formula. The if you are trying to estimate the standard deviation of population using sample data, will be better saving n-1 degree, and this is the expression. Same formula, we have taken a square root of it. Okay, we have taken a square root of it. That's it. Now note that the square root of the sample variance with n-1 degree of freedom is equivalent, like s of n-1 equal to square root of s of n square minus 1, n-1 square. Okay, this is the method that we calculate the standard deviation. So how the deviations are there around the mean is the standard deviation. We are not considering the square deviation there. We are having a standard deviation considered. Now standard deviation is also one of the way by which we can see the distribution of the data within a single set of data. So let's see that one. So standard deviation is calculated by this method. So I just have used the variance function here. Okay, variance function, and with variance function I'm creating a standard deviation function. Okay, so here variance of data is calculated, and direct square root of variance is standard deviation. Square root of variance is standard deviation. So see this one, standard deviation of the given data is 2.4. Standard deviation of this given data is 2.4, and same I can calculate by using the function from the ST package is called as the STDEV standard deviation, okay, will be like that. This is the population mean actually. Standard deviation is direct variance is taken. This is population variance is taken. This is direct variance is taken. That's why the number is small. Changes are present over there. If I want to use, so check this out. So here we have having the standard deviation for all these values, and the standard deviation we are taken from square root of the variance is the same. This number and these numbers are same. The square root of variance is called as the standard deviation. Again, the complete distribution of the data around the mean can be checked either by variance concept or by deviation concept. See, if I want to apply deviation, I can make use of this method, or we can check the above also. This is the STD, standard deviation of the given data can be seen. If I change the value, you can change the deviations. Let's say for this data, if I change the deviation in this way, here 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, sorry, 1, let's see this one. The deviation can be seen easily. Changing? No. Or if I write something other like 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, okay. Everywhere I'll be putting 6 here. And now see this one, the deviation is not changing. Just a minute. Okay, check it out. So this inbuilt functions or the user defined functions we can use to find a deviation of it. So when you actually make use of the practical implementation, we'll be performing the operations here. See, deviations are basically checked to normalize your data. There is too much differences are present. Too much differences are there. So that differences we can reduce with the help of reducing the applying normalization method. And after normalization, all of this data will come to the same deviation. Okay, all of this data will get converted to the same deviation. Remember. Okay, so this is how the methods are used. So you just try by your own. I'll share this code with you. If more details are required, I'll share the presentations with you also. Okay, basic statistics concept that we apply the normal operation, general operation on single set of data are this. Here, one more function I have created called interquartile range. We can have interquartile means from 75 to 25. What's the range that they have? There is 3.0. It's not required much, but we can, if you identify how data distribution is present, equal, unequal, both, that we can find with the help of this particular method over here. So this is standard deviation. Now connected to the basic topic, we are having one more concept called as the correlation and correlation coefficients. Three techniques are there that also I'll show you practically, but let's have to learn theoretically here. Correlation coefficients quantify the association between variables or features of data set. Variable or feature of data set. These statistics are high importance for science and technology, and Python is having a great tool that we can use to calculate them. Like SciPy, NumPy, Pandas will do the operation there. Now, there are three correlation coefficients are used here: Pearson, Spearman, and Kendall. So they are used to visualize the regression lines, correlation metrics with Matplotlib. Let's talk about it. What is correlation? So statistics and data science are often concerned about relationship between two or more variables or feature and label, how they are correlated, they are correlated or not. When we have to build a data science model, so we have to check that input and output are correlated to each other or not. If they are correlated, then only we can build a machine learning model, data science model onto it. So each data point in data set is an observation, and the features are the properties or attributes of these observations. Every data set that you work, we use variables and observations. For example, you might be interested in understanding these things like how the height of basketball player is correlated with their shooting accuracy. Is that correlated? Linear correlated. Correlation and proportion, two things are there. Collinearity is okay, but proportion is there or not. Then whether there is a relationship between employees' work experience and salary. Is it there? Maybe it's possible. Then what's the mathematical dependence exists between population density and the GDP of different countries? Does it have relationship there? So that relationship you can find with the concept of correlations. You can find with the concept of correlation matrix here. Okay. So let's see how to do this particular operation. So check out the example present here. Here, just a thing that I mentioned, like years of experience, name of the person, years of experience, and annual salary is mentioned here. Okay. Now in this table, each row present one observation or the data about the employee like Anne, Rob, Tom, and Ivy. Each column shows one property or feature, that is name, experience, or salary for all the employees. Okay. Now, see this one. When you plot it, it may be possible that when X is incrementing, Y is also incrementing. When X is incrementing, Y is decrementing. Maybe it's possible there. So there are three forms of correlations present here. Three forms of correlations are. The first form is called as strong positive, which is shown in the blue color here. When X is incrementing, Y is also incrementing. Strong positive correlation. Okay. And this is negative. When X is incrementing, Y is decrementing. See, for a strong negative correlation. And weak means X is incrementing, but Y is constant. Weak correlation is present in it. Okay, so strong positive, strong negative, and weak. Weak is not important. Either positive, negative should be present, and how much percentage it has, that we'll find it with the help of the statistical methods again. What are that? Now, negative correlation is then, as I told, increment, decrement. Decrement is there. Positive, we have increment, and weak, we don't have any deviations in that. Check it out. These are the four entries that we have seen for the data set, and you can check increment. Is it there? Okay. We can observe that it's incrementing. That's what the graph is actually showing. But how much amount of correlation that they are having, that's also very important part present over here. Let's see, I'm having a data set with me. That's what we have years of experience and the salary of the respective employees. See this one, I'll show you, and then we'll go to check the things practically here. See, this is a data set with me. Is that? Oh, yeah, this one. So when you want to build a model, generally machine learning model of linear regression, then that time will require this kind of collinearity. All the linear models, basically, not linear regression, all linear models require this kind of technique to check for. Statistical techniques are there. See, so this is a data set with me. Years experience and salary, two columns are there in this data set. And now I want to check their correlation. How they are correlated? They are linearly correlated to each other or not? So we can perform that. Let's see. I'll just open one correlation. Okay, let's create a program here. And I'll open it, and then we will see graphically whether they are correlated to each other or not, and then how to find the correlation coefficient between them. So let's import the pandas and import okay. Read the data. So let's read it. Sorry, I think that file is not present here. Yeah, this file is read. Check it out. Yes, experience and salary, two columns are there. Now I want to check relationship between years experience and salary. So I will separate them. First of all, in X variable, I'll take df of years experience, and in Y, I'll take df of salary. Yes, separate. X and Y are separated, and let's plot it. Scatter plot X against Y. Sorry, PLT. Is it linearly connected? Answer is yes, linearly connected. On X-axis, I have given the experience, which is 2, 4, 2, 5, 4, 6, 7 till 10.5 are present, And y-axis I have 4,000, 40,000, 50, 60, 70, 80, 1,20,000, and you can see it's incrementing. But exact linearity is not there. But how much percentage of linearity present, that will be shown by using collinear equation, collinearity equation, correlation equation. Basically, how the collinearity is there, that will identify with the correlation equation. So this is how it can be done. And let's see how to perform operation. This is what is shown over here. Correlation technique. So there are several statistics that you can use to quantify correlation. We will be learning about three correlation coefficients here by Pearson's R, Spearman's rho, Kendall's tau. Okay, Pearson coefficient measures the linear correlation, while the Spearman and Kendall coefficient compare the rank of the rank means position of that element in the sorted data set. So to do that with Python, I'll show you. In NumPy also present, SciPy also present, Pandas also present. Difference is that we just generally use NumPy, or we can use the Pandas. SciPy is alternative package presented there to perform this operation. But try to identify how these correlation coefficients are actually identified here. Now let's see the correlation between the x and y here, which are presented. So in case of the NumPy, so let's import the NumPy, and I'll show you, and then how what relation that it has having, that we'll talk about. The first correlation coefficient is called as Pearson's coefficient, that is Pearson R. R is a number constant given there, just like pi e we have. Pearson is an R. Okay. Okay, so let's see then COR, correlation coefficient of x comma y. See, x and y are correlated. So first column is x, second column is y. First row is x, second row is y. So x and y are correlated to each other. X and y with 0.98, 98% is the correlation and proportionality that they have. Here also, this is x against x, this is y against y, but this is x against y, and this is y against x. 0.98 Spearman correlation is there. That's what we can see. Okay, and it contains some values also that we can see. R. So that's we can see. Check it out. We can save that in that array also. We can see. So collinearity is there, but how much? 98%. Collinearity and proportionality. Collinearity is okay, but how much proportional is that? Proportionality is 98%. They are proportional to each other. That's what we can see by using this particular CORR, COEF. That's what we can make use of it. So what sort of correlation is that? The value on the main diagonal of correlation matrix are containing this, which is on diagonal. These doesn't matter. They will be 1 always, because my value against my own value will be same. But these values are important apart from the others. Okay, x and y. The upper left value correspond to correlation coefficient for x and y, while the lower right is coefficient for y and y. These values are all equal to 1. Okay, and Pearson correlation, which is showing over here, it is like 98% they are collinear. It means that when x increments, y also increments proportionally, but the proportionality is 98%, which is shown by using Pearson's correlation. So linearity and proportionality both are calculated by using the Pearson's correlation technique here. Now, just like that, using, okay, we'll not take this. It's a supplementary process. It's not required. We can use Pandas and NumPy, only two package that we can use to. I am doing this operation with the help of the NumPy. If I want to do the same operation using Pandas, so how to do this one? X is the data frame dot CORR 1. X dot CORR y. X correlation with y, is it there? Yeah, 0.9811 some number is present, or y is correlated with x. Default is Pearson correlation is there. If you change it, I am correlated with you and you are correlated with me, correlation is same. Remember, it's if you exchange that, then also it will not have any effect in it. Fine. So this is how we can check the correlations presented here. I have taken the data, and one important thing is that here positive is not shown, but let's talk about that also. For example, I'm having x with something like these numbers. Okay, y is equal to something like these numbers. Okay, I think length is same. Okay, and one more is there, that is z with another numbers. Yeah. Okay, and now we will check the collinear. You can check the sequence of them, x and y. If you check np dot cor coefficient of x comma y, okay, they are connected 98.18% x and y, 98.18%. Okay, check it, they are perfectly linear. Now if you check x and y, x and z, x and z, I think count is missing, maybe 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 7 are there. See, they are negatively collinear by 88%. See, linearities, collinearities, correlations. Okay, correlation that we can see 88% is there. Here also we have 88%. Like, and if you want to do the same operation with the y, so we have to make use of a method called as pd dot series is converted into series, and then we can check it x dot CORR with y. Is there any problem? It is can't be converted. Type list. What we will do, we'll take this value directly here and then we'll check it. Still not working. So in pandas, we require to make use of this part of practice again to do. Yeah, this one. So using pandas also you can find it in this way. I need to convert this data into series format. Series or data frame. Data frame contains two or multiple columns. Series contains single column only. Okay, so in this way you can do it. Correlation with it. That's what the correlation factors are given. Fine. So correlations we can find by using this method. So this method will show you your input is correlated with output at what extent. If it is collinear, then only use it. Then only we can apply the linear data models onto it. Generally, we content is ratio is 80%. If they're 80% correlated, then only use it. If they're not 80% correlated, then discard that. Don't use that correlation technique to work with. Okay, linear correlation. So linear correlation measures is the proximity of mathematical relationship between variables or dataset features to linear function. Like if you know y is equal to mx plus c is a linear function. I think we are having that in syllabus in third unit that we'll talk about. That linear collinearity, if you want to, before applying that function to the data set, we have to check whether they are linear or co-related or not. If they are correlated, so in these two features is closer to some linear function, then their linear correlation is stronger and absolute value of correlation coefficient is higher. This is called as a Pearson correlation, and the number that we have seen there, how it is calculated. Formula is given there. Consider a data set with two subset features called x and y. Each feature is n values. So x and y are the n tuples. Say that the first value x1 from x correspond to the first value of y2 from y1, y1 from y. x1 first value, y1 first value. The second value x2 and y2. Okay, x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, x4, y4, like that pairs we have. Now, how this calculation is done? Correlation. So, product moment correlation that we call Pearson correlation. It's a coefficient, is a measure of how linear relationship between the two features is well. It's a ratio of covariance of x and y to the product of their standard deviation. To the product of their standard deviation. So, often denoted by the letter R. and we generally call it the Pearson's R, and check the equation, how it is calculated. R is equal to summation of all elements for all I element, xi minus mean of x into yi minus mean of y, okay, summation of all, into square root of summation of xi minus mean of x square into square root of summation of yi minus mean of y and bracket square raised to minus 1. This is what formula used for the Pearson correlation. Pearson correlation, that is Pearson correlation calculated by this particular method. R value that we have seen is calculated by this particular method, and it will approach from -1 to +1. -1 strongest negative relationship is there, +1 strongest positive relationship is there, and if it approaching towards 0, weak relationship, co-relationship is present over there. That is what's shown over here. So the Pearson R will be having value from -1 to +1. The maximum value 1 correspond to case very perfect positive. Okay, greater than 0 indicate positive, equal to 0 indicate completely independent. X and Y are completely independent of each other. R less than 0 indicate negative correlation, and R equal to -1 represent perfect negative relationship is present over there. That is what Pearson's R correlation will have. This is what shown over here, same things that we can use. So this concept is actually the linear regression. Okay, we will, this is just an overview given here. We might be knowing the linear regression. Okay, we'll not go with that regression there, but we'll talk about another method of correlation. We have linear regression again in the syllabus in unit number 3. That time we'll talk about it. This is a common technique, standard technique. Product moment correlation technique is there called as Pearson's R. Product moment. Okay, and product moment correlation technique specifies two things. First, linearity, and second, proportionality. Linearity is okay. We know that they are linear, but how much proportionally they are linear? What is the proportionality that is present? That is, both are taken in consideration while using the Pearson's R, that is product moment correlations. Now, second method is called as rank correlation. In the rank correlation, we have two techniques. Rank. So rank correlation compares the rank of the order, rank or the ordering or sequence number of the data related to two variables or the dataset features. If the ordering are similar, then correlation is strong, positive, and high. Ordering, number, sequence. However, if the ordering are close to reversed, then correlation is strong, negative, and low. Okay. In other words, rank correlation is concerned only with the order of values, not with the particular values from dataset. Number, sequence number, that is called as a rank. That's used over here. Same concept that we are having rank correlations also. Okay. First is called as Spearman correlation. Rank correlation first technique is Spearman correlation that we can have. The Spearman correlation coefficient between two features is the Pearson correlation coefficient between their rank values. Yes. Let's see that. Rank, what is the meaning of rank? Now see, if I use the concept of rank here, there, no, that's not present. Okay, let's talk about the rank. Yes, X, Y, 30, 46, 68, 88, 90, 4, 6, 12, 34, 57, 78, and 69. Yes, we done. See. Yeah. Just a minute. We'll see the example and then we'll talk about this. Wait a minute, it will take some time. Now see the X. It's in sorted fashion. Okay, it's there in sorted fashion. It's very long number is there. Wait a minute. What is rank? That we'll talk. See, okay, now see, let's talk about the rank first, and then we'll go for checking the Spearman's correlation. See, the data is presented over here. There are contains 7 entries present in it. Okay, 7 entries are there, and when you sort it, data will be something like that. And now see, the rank of 6 here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rank of 6 is 4. Rank of 3 is 1, present at 1 number position. Rank of 4 is 2. Rank of 2 is 0. Okay. Rank of 5 is 4. Sorry, 3. Rank of 7 is 5. And rank of 8 is 7. The last means the sequence number after the sorting data is called as the rank. So only the sequence number are taken in consideration by using the Spearman's correlation. By the Spearman correlation, and accordingly we'll check the correlation of it. Okay, right. See, Spearman. Spearman correlation between the features, Spearman's correlation between their rank values are considered, and they calculate in the same way the Pearson correlation is calculated, but it takes into account their rank instead of their values. Whatever values is there, doesn't consider it. So it will check only linearity, not proportionality. Only linearity is considered. Remember, proportionality is not there, but Pearson consider proportionality also. Linearity and proportionality. Try to remember it. Linearity means there one is incrementing, second is also incrementing. There is no any difference in all. But in what proportion they are incrementing, that is considered using Pearson, but Spearman will not consider that. So let's see how it is performing operation. So here we are also having this Spearman correlation between -1 to 1. -1 strongest negative, +1 positive negative, strongest positive relationship is presented there. And let's see how these operations are calculated. Now see, let's have x and y presented here. So we'll have x. This is x and y created. Sorry, this is delete. And we'll see your original example. We have x and y. Here x and y. So x dot CORR with DF of CORR. So experience and salary are connected to it 98% with the help of Pearson correlation. And if you want to choose and check the correlation with another method, Spearman. So see this now. Spearman correlation is 96%. 96%. Pearson's correlation is shown by this particular method. See this, salary. That is the parameter that you have to pass is the Spearman. So it only check the rank correlation. Now how these numbers can be different, that also we'll see. Let's see, for example, I'm creating a data set here. Okay, is equal to pd dot data frame, and inside that I'll create 2 columns. Okay, in first column, for example, the first column I'm considering here is equal to some set of values, like 3, 6, 12, 34, 47, 78, and 120. Okay, for example, in second set of column, let's consider again similar number of entries presented here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's say this. Okay, like this. Okay, and I got this data set something like this. Now I want to check the correlation between them. First and second, I manually created that, and what the linearity and proportionality that they have carrying, that's done by the Pearson correlation. So let's see, data set dot CORR. See, 95% they are proportional and linear. And now if I use data set dot CORR, and let's make use of the method Spearman. Now see, 100%. How? This is the property of rank correlation. You can check it. the rank of this number, rank are exactly same, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they are also same, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why Spearman correlation is same. Spearman is nothing different. It sort the value and apply Pearson correlation onto it on their index numbers. On their index numbers, it apply the Pearson correlation. That's it. That's what done. So here 100% we got. Why? Because the sequence that it has in rank that it has, first column it has same sequence, second is also having. That's why Spearman is showing 100%. So it only check the linearity. Pearson check linearity also and proportionality also. Proportionality 95%. Linearity is okay. Proportionality 95%. Here proportionality is not checked. It only check the linearity of that data, and accordingly the values are calculated. This is what the correlation. And once you identify correlation, then we can apply the linear data model onto linear regression, multivariate regression, ridge regression, lasso regression, polynomial regression, and least square regression or support vector machine that can also be applied. These are the linear models. These linear models can be easily applied on the data, and we can build an algorithm where data is input, according linear output we can generate. So there we are going to make statistical methods. Even non-linear model also having that. That also we can use, but use for generally numerical continuous values. One is continuous, second is also continuous along with it. That time only these techniques are useful, and that we can use from generally we prefer this method, pandas method, because pandas method we apply directly on the data frame, the table, and will generate the result. But for other statistical methods, we need to use specific names, numpy dot coref with x comma y, and separately. So this will do for a complete table itself. Complete table. There is my table that I am having with me. See this one. Okay. There are empty cars not present. I think it's in home. Say this. Yeah, see, and having a data frame, something like that, and I want to check everyone's correlation with every other. See, everyone's correlation. Like MPG is output variable here actually. CYL is dependent to it 85% negatively. Displacement 84% negatively. Okay. Now displacement and CYL are dependent on each other 90% positively. Correct? HP 77% negatively, 60% positively. This is weight 86% negatively, like all. So complete table, every variable dependency collinearity with other variable is shown by this method directly. See this method that we can use to perform operation. One more method is remaining that we'll see in tomorrow's session, candles correlation, and few more topic. We'll start with the probability also, how probability techniques are used in the data science in detail with practical implementation if possible, else it will not be. Okay, so thank you. That's from my side. If you have any questions or doubts, so